Russia will tell you it was only a training mission. NATO, Norway, and the UK know better. On June 23rd, a Russian Tu-160, the largest, most powerful nuclear-capable bomber in Russia's fleet, went up on a 16-hour flight across international airspace, flanked by MiG-31 fighters. On paper, nothing illegal. International airspace is open to everyone, but look at where Putin sent it. Over the Barents and Norwegian seas, and at one point, just a handful of kilometers north of the UK's Shetland Islands, running in-flight refueling drills, far too close to NATO territory for comfort. This wasn't a drill Russia couldn't have done at home. This was Putin rattling the nuclear saber, telling NATO his aircraft can reach striking distance whenever he likes. Norway answered fast. It scrambled a pair of F-35s, NATO's most advanced fighters, to shadow the bombers, and at one point flew a jet directly between the Tu-160 and its MiG-31 escort. That's a rare move, and the message underneath it was blunt. Russia can send bombers to the edge of NATO airspace, but NATO can put a stealth fighter inside your formation before you even know it's there. The Kremlin admitted only that its bombers were escorted by fighters from foreign countries and left it there. Norway can react that quickly because it built for exactly this. Its Quick Reaction Alert program keeps at least 2 of its 50 F-35s ready to launch from Evenes air station within 15 minutes, flying around 40 intercept missions a year. And the F-35 was the right tool, because the Tu-160 is genuinely dangerous, Mach 2+, faster than any bomber in the world, hauling almost 45,000 kilograms of weapons, including nuclear ones. The F-35 tops out around Mach 1.6, so it can't win a race with a blackjack at full throttle. What it has is stealth. It can slip in close before the bomber's crew ever sees it. And the timing wasn't an accident. The bomber flew right as Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Putin's man for over 2 decades, was reportedly asked in a closed meeting whether he'd use nuclear weapons. His answer, well, I would still use them. This is the same official who warned that direct NATO-Russia confrontation could escalate into a nuclear exchange, saber-rattling maybe, but when Russia's most powerful bombers are skirting NATO's edge at the same moment, the words have to be taken seriously. The thing though, the Atlantic Council has a line worth remembering. The saber gets rattled whenever Russia itself is rattled. Nuclear threats are a sign of weakness, not strength. And right now, Russia has a lot to be rattled about. Because while Putin was performing power in the skies over the North Sea, Ukraine was quietly taking his country apart from the inside. On the night of July 9th into the 10th, Ukraine hit what felt like everything, everywhere, all at once. Russia's defense ministry claimed it intercepted 376 drones, and then, as always, insisted nothing got through. Yet oil depots burned, airports shut. Military-industrial sites suddenly developed very large holes. In the Rostov region, Ukraine struck the port of Taganrog, hitting a fuel depot that loads Russia's Shadow Fleet tankers, and the city's aviation college that trains Russia's aircraft specialists. In Azov, fires broke out at petroleum storage sites. The governor admitted around 35 drones were downed, and that there were, in his words, consequences on the ground. Translation: the drones hit what Ukraine aimed at. Then Krasnodar. Ukraine smashed the Ilsky oil refinery again, the 17th strike on that one refinery since the war began, the 5th in 2026 alone. Local authorities blamed, of course, falling UAV debris, the world's most accurate debris, somehow always landing on the target. And Ukraine sent drones to Moscow too, forcing the temporary shutdown of Domodedovo Airport, with Pulkovo in St. Petersburg restricted as well. That last part matters, because closed airports full of stranded, furious travelers are part of the plan. a way of dragging Putin's war home to the Russian public. But the strike that should truly worry the Kremlin came a few days earlier and much farther away. Ukraine hit the Omsk refinery in Siberia, more than 2,500 kilometers from Ukrainian territory, a new distance record, and not by a little. It did it with a new weapon, the FP-1ER, an extended-range remix of the FP-1 drone Ukraine has been battering Russia with for months. Firepoint's co-founder confirmed just one number, 3,400 kilometers of range, roughly 3 times the original. Longer wings, more fuel, likely a warhead around 105 kilograms, and quite possibly some AI guidance, since a drone flying that far through Russian jamming needs a way to survive it. And where the original FP-1 costs about $50,000 a unit, this one still comes in far below the $500,000 of a cruise missile, cheap enough to send in swarms. At Omsk, it proved it. Ukraine put 4 hits on Russia's largest refinery, a plant that handles about 10% of the country's oil refining and processes 22 million tons of crude a year. One distillation unit alone, rated at 8.6 million tons annually, is now a wreck, and Russia was forced to suspend processing. With that strike, Ukraine has now hit all 11 of Russia's largest refineries, a combined 156 million tons of annual capacity. Even Russia's best fighter, an ASU-57 working alongside an A-50 radar plane, tracked those drones for hours and still failed to stop them. The result is a fuel crisis that started in Crimea and has now touched almost all of Russia's 83 regions. Hours-long queues at the pumps. Restrictions that mean an ordinary Russian often can't even fill a tank. One woman near Gelendzhik described sleeping in her car and arriving at 5 a.m. to find the pumps still dry. Russia's answer was to ban diesel and jet fuel exports. And a country that has to hoard its own fuel is not a country that's winning. The rot goes deeper than fuel. On the front line, Ukraine has become the master of robot warfare. Its ground robots ran over 16,600 logistics and evacuation missions in June alone, a record, climbing every single month this year, up 122% since January, more than 66,300 in the first half of 2026. Every run a machine makes is a Ukrainian soldier who doesn't have to cross a drone-infested kill zone. The robots cost between $2,000 and $40,000, less than a third of what a Ukrainian assault soldier earns in a month, and the soldiers themselves are the ones ordering them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Russian troops in Kherson are marching more than 10 kilometers on foot, hauling ammunition by hand, because Russia has no equivalent. And behind all of it, Russia's economy is quietly buckling. A leaked European intelligence brief, reported by Reuters, describes a banking crisis barely being contained. More than 500,000 Russians declared bankruptcy in 2025. The share of corporate loans that will likely never be repaid has hit 10%, the threshold for a systemic crisis. The Kremlin created this itself, pushing banks to skip credit checks and subsidizing loans to defense firms and home buyers to make the economy look healthier than it is. Interest rates that hit 20% have been cut to 14.25%, still high enough to make much of that debt unpayable. GDP contracted in the first quarter of 2026. As the International Business Times put it, Putin used Russia's banks as a shock absorber for war spending he assumed Ukraine would never survive long enough to inflict. 4.5 years in, Russia holds only about 20% of Ukraine, most of it taken back in 2014 and the opening months of 2022. Everything since has been slow, bloody, and ruinously expensive. So step back and look at the whole board. In the air, a bomber performing strength. On the ground, a fuel crisis, a robot army Russia can't match, and a banking system on the edge. That's the real state of the war Putin doesn't want his people to see. And NATO has seen it too, which is why it's building something Russia has no answer for. According to documents seen by Business Insider, NATO is constructing an AI-powered kill web along its entire eastern flank, from Finland to Romania. Sensors, radar, reconnaissance drones, and satellites, all feeding a shared digital brain built around Palantir's Maven system, the same kind of software that can take a target from detection to a strike decision in minutes instead of hours. When something crosses the line, automated interceptor drones and remote weapons respond on their own before a single NATO soldier is put at risk. Dozens of nodes, each backing up the others, so Russia's hackers can't simply switch it off. NATO calls it deterrence by denial, a wall that stops an invasion at the border rather than punishing it afterward. And it's built directly on the lessons of Ukraine, where drones now carry out around 80% of strikes and AI already automates most of the interception work. That's the gap that matters most. A Stanford study ranked Russia 28th of 36 countries in AI, and analysts put it 3 to 5 years behind the West and China. Putin can mass soldiers. He cannot mass the technology to beat this, which is the cruel irony of the whole thing. Putin sent his most powerful bomber to look strong. At the exact moment his refineries are burning, his people are queuing for fuel, his banks are cracking, and his enemy is building a machine wall he has no way to climb. The Tu-160 flight wasn't a show of a winner's confidence. It was the noise a cornered man makes. The saber gets rattled whenever Russia is rattled. Right now, it's rattling very loudly. For more on how Ukraine is turning Russia's own size into the weakness that could lose Putin the war, check out our next video, and subscribe to the Military Show so you never miss our analysis. As always, thanks for watching.